Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing well and hanging in there. So over the past few days, ever since I released that video on Convoy, there has been growing concern in the comment section about brokers potentially going out of business. Carriers are starting to get worried that as more brokers go out of business, more and more carriers will end up moving loads that they will simply never get paid for. And you know what? It's an extremely valid concern. Now, there are some carriers that are blessed with non-recourse factoring, which means that the factoring company assumes most of the risk when it comes to a broker not paying. But the majority of us, the majority of carriers who use a factoring company, they are recourse, which means that the moment a broker does not pay that factoring company, guess who they're coming after for the money? You. So again, this whole idea of more and more brokers potentially going out of business in the next few months, this could really bite us carriers and drivers and owner-operators and dispatchers in the butt. So today, I decided to make a video on something that I teach in one of the lessons in my dispatching course, and that is how to protect yourself as much as humanly possible from a situation where you will not get paid. Ready? Let's go! So what happened with Convoy surprised a lot of people because it was so sudden. But was it? Well, why don't we take a look at a clip from September 10th, 2023 when I did a live. Take a listen.
MC Uber Freight. Convoy used to be one of them, but I do not recommend Convoy. Be careful with them. Something is happening with them. They are on rocky ground. It looks like they're going to the ground is going to fall from underneath their feet. So be careful with Convoy. I read some weird things about them.
So what prompted me to say this in the beginning of September, way before Convoy went out of business last Thursday? Well, it's definitely not my psychic abilities, although I would like to pretend that I am that gifted. It's actually very simple. I happen to read the trucking industry news and freight market news every single day. Remember, knowledge is the only asset that absolutely no one can take away from you. So on August 24th of this year, FreightWaves released an article titled "Convoy Hires Bank to Advise on Strategic Interests." And the first sentence of the article says, and I quote, "Seattle-based digital freight brokerage Convoy has hired an investment bank to help it explore strategic options that could include a sale of the company." That right there was a huge clue that something not so great was happening to Convoy. So point number one, start reading and learning as much as possible. Read the news, and the most important thing, learn to read between the lines, because these articles, these news that come out, they won't always tell you exactly what is happening, but they will offer clues so that you can make better decisions. Now, I personally have not worked with Convoy in over 1.5 years, maybe it's 2 years, but after reading that article, I remember making a mental note that this is a broker on the do not use list, because that article kind of, it raised a red flag for me. If you need suggestions on where to get news pertaining to the trucking industry, well, my number one choice is FreightWaves. Then we have Landline, and finally Overdrive. These are good places to start. All right, next comes the part which I teach in my dispatching course, and that includes reading credit scores, days to pay, and the most important of all, being able to analyze the financial health of the broker that you're about to book a load with. For this example, I'm going to be using what you can find on the DAT or DAT load board, because this is one of the most popular load boards out there. But I also know that most load boards that are subscription-based will have access to credit scores and credit histories for the brokers. Now, the first thing I want to draw your attention to right away is that when you're looking at the credit score, you also might be able to see some reviews on the broker. If your decision making is based only on what kind of rating a broker has, well, I can tell you that you will skip over 99.9% of brokers out there. Remember that people in any industry and any situation are more likely to leave bad reviews than good ones. That's just psychology. So seeing brokers with 1, 2, 3-star ratings is pretty normal, unfortunately, especially right now, considering what has been happening over the past 2 years. Now, while ratings should not be the main thing you rely on when making your decisions, reading through those reviews can be eye-opening. For example, you may be able to find out whether a particular broker pays tonu, detention, layover, and basically whether they have a good record of compensating carriers for lost time. Another great piece of information you can find is the trustworthiness of the broker. Are there a bunch of reviews saying the same thing, that this broker is notorious for booking a load, sending a rate confirmation, and then canceling the load? This is very important. So now let's go to the board so I can show you some real DAT reviews of a broker that are important to keep track of. All right, let's read through real reviews, some of them that I found for Ryan Transportation. I'm sure you guys have seen them on the load board. Personally, I refuse to work with them because I have been in this situation that the reviews outline. So let's take a look. Review number 1, don't call them to waste your time. Called them, booked the load, didn't get the rate con. After several calls, they pick up the call and they don't have the load. Review number 2, they don't pay tonu. Stay away, don't waste your time. Booked a load with them a while back. Truck shows up and there is no load for us. Driver drove 150 miles for nothing. Number 3, dispatch. After we did the setup package with them and they were saying the load is covered with another carrier, and then when we called them back, they said that the customer canceled the load. Not recommended. So yeah, when it comes to Ryan Transportation, not RTS or Reliable Transportation Solutions, Ryan. I refuse to work with them personally. Next is credit scores and days to pay. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on how to figure out which credit score means what. Like, what does 100 mean? What does 28 DTP or days to pay mean? Because I assume that 99.9% of you already know how to read credit scores and days to pay. If you're one of those people who is not sure how to read it, please drop me a comment down below or send me an email that is attached somewhere down here. Instead, let's move on to how we can analyze credit histories and credit scores, which is instrumental, especially today when we know that brokers are faced with turbulent waters and might start going out of business one after another in the coming months. So here are 4 different charts that I actually use in the dispatching course that show basically model 4 different brokers. These are not any particular brokers. We're going to look at real credit score histories in just a moment, but for now, let's try and analyze these charts. So chart number 1, we can see that the credit score is in blue and the days to pay is in green. So what can we see? Well, we can see that the credit score has been a stable 95 over the past 10 months, and the days to pay has been a stable 30 also over the past 10 months. So basically, my analysis of this, and I'm sure it's yours as well, this is a pretty stable broker as of right now. I would use them. Chart number 2. Here we have a credit score, days to pay, and we can see that until July, they have been pretty stable. But then after July, all of a sudden their credit score started decreasing while their days to pay started increasing. This is a broker I would not do business with because this tells me that something happened in July and they're in some financial trouble. May it be small or large, I don't care. I don't want to be caught up in it, so I would not work with them. Chart number 3, no credit score, no days to pay until around July 20th, right here. And then all of a sudden they have a credit score of close to 195 to like 98. And a good days to pay of around 30 days. So what happened? Was this broker bankrupt before July 20th and then all of a sudden something happened? Well, no, this is a typical chart of a newer broker who simply did not have any credit scores or days to pay to display before July 20th. Now, granted, they're doing pretty well right now, but this is a broker I would not work with in this situation either, because in the current market, they can go out as quickly as they came in. Finally, we have this chart right here. Again, reminder, blue is credit score, green is days to pay. We can see that somewhere around May, it seems like they got into some kind of financial trouble where their credit score dropped, their days to pay increased, and as of, well, let's say November, they are stable. But considering that in this example, we have November and December only left, this 1 month of stability is not enough to give me confidence to work with this broker, because this is just not enough time to understand what exactly is happening with them. All right, now let's take a look at some real examples from the DAT load board. And yes, I'm using broker names here. Bowers Trucking Inc. or Bowers Logistics Inc. right here. First, you can see the date and credit score, but more importantly, let's take a look at the chart. So here is their chart. You can see the credit score is in yellow, days to pay is in blue. And what we can see is that they're kind of all over the place, and currently their credit score is like 59 right here. Their days to pay is close to 60. This is a broker I wouldn't use, not even because of their current credit score. It's more to do with the 1-year pattern. They're all over the place. I don't know what is happening with them. Next, we have Collier Transportation Inc. Let's take a look at their chart. So here it is. We have the credit score, the days to pay credit score is around 97, 98. Days to pay is around 19 or 18 days. And it has been stable pretty much for the past year. This is a broker I would definitely work with. And on top of it, this broker actually happens to have 5-star reviews on the DAT load board, which is super rare. But just looking at their credit score and days to pay history, this is giving me confidence that, okay, nothing has changed over the past year and they're still doing well, so I am safe. Next, we have Royalty Logistics Group. Let's take a look at what is happening with them. And we can see that, yikes, yeah, I would not work with them. There was a time where they were doing well with their credit score and their days to pay are kind of all over the place. But since around May or June of 2023, they're all over the place. I mean, credit score down, credit score up, credit score down, days to pay doing the same thing. This tells me that they are in some sort of financial, or they're facing some sort of financial issues and trying their hardest to kind of get rid of those issues, but are not really succeeding at the moment. And we can see this because their credit score is the lowest it has been in a year. It is around 65, while their days to pay is close to 50. So yeah, definitely not a broker I would work with. Finally, we have a broker called DT Lines. I have never worked with any of these guys, so I can't tell you anything that I have experienced with them, but let's take a look at their chart. Well, we can see that their credit score was good for most of the year, except for August. Since August, their credit score went down by 15 points or 15%. Their days to pay started increasing somewhere in June. This is a broker that I'm not comfortable working with because, yeah, they were doing well beforehand, but right now their trajectory is pretty crappy. I don't know where they're going to go, and I don't want to get caught up in any financial trouble and not get paid. So yeah, guys, I hope this video was helpful to you to take a little bit more control of your income. Nobody said that running a trucking company was easy. It is definitely not. It's far from it. It takes meticulous planning, attention to detail, and trying to sometimes predict what is going to happen next. Now, all of these things that I showed you, they're definitely not foolproof because there is nothing in this world that is, but it will definitely put you in a better position than those that simply don't pay attention at that stuff. Wishing you all a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next video.